Alright, the body. Here we go. You ready? This is going to be our first ever Gross Nasty Eggs podcast.
Nasty gross eggs?
Nasty gross eggs?
Gross nasty eggs?
It's different from garbage eggs.
It is.
It's going to be horror stuff.
Yeah, and try and just keep it more focused on film.
Yeah, and not so everywhere with our topics.
Yeah, and so this is going to be the first episode ever for it. It's, this first series that we're going to do is going to be season 1 of Into the Dark.
Woo!
Blumhouse's Into the Dark, which is exclusively on Hulu.
Yes.
It began, this one in particular is the first one. The Body came out October 2018.
Yes.
It was that long ago.
It feels like, man, it's crazy. That's been 2 years.
Yeah.
Almost entirely. October's a fitting time to start something like this.
Yeah.
In case you don't know what Into the Dark is, the idea is there's a movie every month, but it's a horror movie, but it's like themed for like a holiday during that month. Like December's Christmas. Not always. Sometimes it's just like thematically. Like this one is a summer one or something like that. But,
yeah, so the first season, and right now we're currently wrapping up the second season.
We are getting close to it.
There's 12 episodes, 12 months.
Mm-hmm.
And, of course, they start in October. It's about Halloween.
Yeah. So, The Body.
It's been 2 years. I mean, if you haven't seen it.
True.
And also, it's a made-for-television horror movie.
Yes.
So...
But Blumhouse got a lot of recognition recently for its Invisible Man.
But that's a theatrical release.
Yes, but it's still the same...
And also... Lee Wallell?
The director?
Yeah, the director co-wrote Saw.
Yeah.
He also plays Adam.
So he's a smart dude.
And then he also made Insidious.
He did.
And he didn't direct that one.
No.
But he directed, I think, 3 and 4.
He's in Insidious, isn't he?
He's also in Insidious.
He's one of the... We're already getting distracted.
I'm just explaining.
So...
Blumhouse did, what is it, Get Out?
Yes.
And then Us. So they're not always horror, but they usually... Jason Blumhouse likes to stick to horror.
Yes.
It's cheap and easy to make.
So... Alright, my first note... This is something I noticed, like, immediately. Like, it's the beginning scene. Is the music reminds me of Harry Potter. And it might be they're trying to match, like, a Halloween vibe that Harry Potter might also be doing, but it's way too similar, so I'm just in this mood to go on this whimsical, magical adventure with my school friends, not follow a hitman around in a horror movie.
Dragging a dead corpse.
Yeah.
There's a slight... like crescendo that happens in it.
Yeah.
And it sounds exactly like John Williams' work.
I
think John Williams was inspired by this song. I'm not too sure. I could be totally wrong. I can't even remember the song's name.
Who knows?
I think it's by a German guy.
I would have gone with something different. Because it's just too similar.
Oh, the one thing I really hate about that opening shot is the camera work. It's the only time that shows up, too, in the film.
Yes.
It's a handheld shot.
It feels almost completely different. Like, a completely different team could have done that opening, and then, a different team doing the rest of the movie.
Yeah, it's a handheld tracking shot where you enter into this apartment, and then you see how it's, like, luxurious, and the TV's on playing an old-timey movie.
Yeah.
And then...
That's what rich people do.
Yeah. The music's playing. You see a bottle of wine is laying there on the counter. And then a camera comes around the counter and you see a body.
I do like the reveal of, it's like, oh shit, a dead body. But, like, handheld, I've never liked handheld.
It was just weird.
I especially hate it when people try... Like, it's not handheld, but they try to edit it so it looks like it is. That's when it's at its worst.
Well, that didn't happen here. So we introduced to the hitman.
Yes.
The main character.
Wilkes?
Yeah, Wilkes.
Which I didn't remember that until the end. Because the guy called him and was like, hey, Wilkes, it's me.
Yeah, and Wilkes is sitting there at the victim's table looking at this gourmet cheese that has maggots in it.
It's a real thing.
It is, and it's actually illegal to have in America.
Really?
Yeah, so I was wondering...
Is it the maggots? They don't want an infestation on accident?
Yeah, the FDA is like, no, that's disgusting.
It is disgusting. I wonder if he actually had to eat that, because there's that shot.
And I think he put it in his mouth. But I don't know if they brought that into the country or if that was like a practical effect.
Yeah, was it, or did they like CG it or something?
If it was CG, it was really good.
I don't know.
Anyways, what we find out is he gets a phone call from his boss. His boss is like, hey, you need to dispose of the body. I need evidence. You have till 2 p.m. tonight.
Mm-hmm.
And then the next scene, you see Wilkes dragging the body, which he is now wrapped up in plastic.
Yes, which I didn't see in the apartment that he murdered the dude in, but I was willing to let it slide for sake of the plot.
Yeah. There's a little jump there.
We didn't need a scene of him running around finding a bunch of saran wrap.
Would have been funny.
Maybe.
God damn it. I left it in the car.
Such a shit.
And, so he goes out into the streets.
But no one...
It's Halloween night.
No one's... They all think it's a part of, like, this really elaborate costume of, like, dragging a dead body around. Yeah. Great premise. Like, honestly, no wonder they made it a movie, and apparently a short film beforehand.
Yep.
Because it's a really great idea.
And I'd say that would be the best and only brightest idea it had.
Yeah. And that's where all of our compliments end.
No. So, like any typical horror movie, he runs into 3 dumb young adults.
Yeah, okay. So my note here, verbatim, I wrote, bumps into a dude, be a dick, immediately begs him to go to a party with you. Because he, like, bumps into the guy, he's like, yo, man, what the fuck? And then he's like, wow, that's a really cool cut. You want to go to this party with me? I'm like, you were just being an asshole. Why would he want to?
Yeah.
Like, the partygoers, I feel like, were the worst written element of the story. Like, the 3 that we end up following, they're at least entertaining, bouncing off of each other, but it felt like they should have been in a completely different movie. That, not this one.
It's weird because Wilkes is so, like, serious, and he doesn't really have many lines.
Mm-hmm.
And then the other characters are always talking, and they're trying to work off each other, and I don't feel like it works.
He's just giving them... I would have... If they were going to go this route, I would have either gotten... I don't know if it was the actor. I don't think it was the actor playing Wilkes, because he seemed really good at it. I would have just written him differently, to be, like, maybe a bit more talkative or something. Because it is weird that they're sitting there just jabber-jawing away, and he's doing nothing in response. It made for very weird dialogue for the movie.
Yeah, and at one point... So they go to this party. It's your typical party. It's just...
Like, imagine a stereotype from a movie party. It's that.
Everyone's in costume. There's drugs. There's alcohol. Bad music.
Yep.
The audio, they're constantly playing with the music.
Yeah, so you can...
in certain scenes, you don't hear the music.
Mm-hmm.
In certain scenes, it's playing.
It's, like, loud and reverberating. Like, but that's par for the course with something like this.
Neon lights going off everywhere.
Yep. Alright, the guy, he begged Wilkes to go to the party because he's like, oh, my friend, Jake, I think was his name, Jake or Jason, he was always like, he's gonna have this really big reveal and I need you to, like, show him up. And then, they didn't do anything with him to, like, show up Jason, and Jason's reveal wasn't even that cool. Like, he got wheeled in like he was in a straitjacket, and then he burst out and goes, let's party. I'm like, that was not nearly as impressive as everyone in the room
wasn't triumphant.
Is making it seem like it is.
Especially when you see that it's a pretty gawky looking guy.
Yeah. Like, I don't know why they cast him. Because he's in Ash vs. the Evil Dead.
Yeah, and he's his sidekick. His last name, the actor's name is Santiago. And he does play kind of that character in Ash vs. Evil Dead, but it works.
Because you have Ash.
You have Ash, yeah. And Bruce Campbell is groovy.
Yes, he is.
And then, he takes them and the body all into his like safe room,
Yeah.
which
But-
looks like his office.
Which is like because like there's like drugs and alcohol in there. But before we got to that part,
Oh, the girl.
oh boy, my favorite part of the whole movie, Maggie. I hated her. She really ruined this movie for me.
Yeah.
Like she's like I get that she's like, oh, I'm interested in him, but her introduction was so annoying that I'm like, how am I supposed to like empathize with this character? Because she like walks up, she hands him a drink, and then she just goes on this giant. He like says something like nice Marie Antoinette costume or something like that, and then she goes on this gigantic like actually speech correcting him. And then this giant thing about Marie Antoinette and how girls are expected to dress up sexy and she's, fulfilling other boys' fantasies. And I'm like, you just...
All men are pigs
You're
and they
j-
force their fantasies on the women.
And she just has this gigantic speech at him. And I'm like, how am I supposed to care about you as a character at all?
Yeah, after his second drink, he just goes, fuck this, and leaves.
Yeah, like, I don't blame him for being like, no, there's no
and then
weed.
she just keeps following them.
I know, and she's so annoying.
Yeah.
She doesn't...
And the only reason she's there is because she works for the guy who's running the place.
Yeah. And she's got, like, a hard-on for killers, I guess.
Yeah, which is weird, because in the safe room, they realize that it is a real dead body.
Mm-hmm.
And then Wilkes goes on this whole rant, which is supposed to be, like, poetic.
It was not.
It was just like, what the fuck are you saying? It was nonsensical.
Yeah.
It was supposed to be thought-provoking.
Like, pointed, like, murder is human nature. If you do
Yeah.
anything beside that, you're the crazy one. I'm like, did a 13-year-old write this one?
Yeah, what is his line? There is no art in nature, but there is murder.
Yeah. I'm like,
It's
that... I see what you're doing. And that's the worst part is that's the most lines that actor has, is during that little diatribe he's got.
Honestly, yeah.
And it's just a whole lot of bullshit. I was also very disappointed at how quickly we revealed the surprise of it's a real dead body. Because I hoped the movie was going to be like horror-themed shenanigans of him dragging this body from place to place and various people, oh, it's just a prop. And then when he drags it to another place and more people, and then just shenanigans ensue. I didn't expect it to be like the 5-minute mark. Nope, surprise, it's a real body.
Yeah. And then he tells them, I'm going to kill all of you.
Yeah.
I'm going to take your car and leave. Which was like, you could have just did...
You didn't need to tell us your whole speech. Whatever.
And then he offs one of the characters.
Yeah, poor Guillermo.
Which was like, okay, cool. They freak out. Stupidly, they take the body with them.
Yeah, okay. I don't, like, she was like, it's a real person, we need to help him. It's like, he's obviously dead. Like, if they just would have left the body, they probably would have been fine, because Wilkes needs to drag it everywhere. And if they just bolted without him, then they would have been fine. He would never have been able to catch him.
Their decisions with the body, because they hold on to it for, oh my god, more than half that movie.
They have the body more than he has the body.
Yeah, and then like they run down to the parking garage, and they're trying to like figure out what to do, and they're like, oh, let's get a taxi cab, and then they're like, call 911, and then he has a cell phone, and then the other one runs out to find the cops, even though one has a cell phone.
Yeah.
It was like, what are you guys doing?
And she's like, go out there. And she keeps, she hands him her phone and goes, call the cops. And then she goes, oh, wait, there's a cop outside. Go get the cop outside. I'm like, oh, so are you going to call the cops? Are you going to do anything? Or are you just going to sit there and bitch at the boys?
Yeah.
None of the girls were likable in this movie, which was a weird choice, because I feel like they were supposed to be likable.
Yeah.
But they didn't do it right.
Yeah, which only led them to have the cop show up and see 3 accomplices.
Yeah.
That's what he saw.
And
then Wilkes shows up,
and kills the cop.
kills the cop, and they still take the body and run.
Yeah, and I had a thought. I have a note, and it just says, just because the cops didn't work the first time doesn't mean it's not a bad idea to try going to the cops again. Because their options are, because he has the video footage of them with the body and like the dead cop and whatever, and he sends it to them as like blackmail basically. And they're like, oh shit, you know what we need to do? Destroy the body. Breaking Bad style. That's what we should do.
But hold on, before we get to that part,
Mm-hmm.
because that's something I want to talk about.
Yeah.
Is that every cop now has a body cam,
Mm-hmm.
right? And you even see a POV shot of it.
Yeah.
And after Wilkes kills him, right?
Yeah.
You can see that the camera is actually tilted towards him, which means the police would already have visuals of who killed the cop.
Yeah. And it happens later. It's when she's like, I'm not a hacker, and then she hacks into the police department.
Yeah.
He's like, delete the footage. I'm like, even if they have backups running like constantly, she can't just wipe the footage without them noticing.
Also, would they put the servers that gain that footage in this precinct?
Yeah.
I don't think they would. I think they would put it somewhere else, and then they would go there to retrieve it.
You know, she's a hacker. She even...
Plus, it would probably go to 2 different or 3 different places.
Probably.
So it can't be tampered with.
But, no, their options are, I guess, destroy the body in its entirety, or go to the cops.
Yeah.
So I'm like, okay, so this is the thing. The guy is going to kill you, and he's trying to kill you. Even if the cops think you are an accomplice, you can eventually, like, prove that you weren't when the hitman starts trying to kill you. So it's either go to the cops and potentially spend a couple nights in prison and live, or try to do this very stupid thing that they end up deciding on doing.
Yeah. And then, again, Wilkes only goes to these places because Maggie knows, but she always pretends she doesn't know. Like the hacking of the computer thing.
I have a note, and it just says, God, I just hate Maggie.
And then,
All she does is leer at him and talk like a know-it-all. And she takes too much screen time away from our hitman.
yeah.
Like, she is the center point of every scene she's in, and she's in every scene with him.
Almost.
Almost. Not good. She,
And then,
not good.
so they run away with the body,
Uh-huh.
right? And they're freaking out, which I'm guessing is the reason why they make dumb decisions.
I guess that's an excuse.
But because of their stupid ideas, it just moves the plot forward.
Yeah.
There's no real, like, thought behind it.
It makes me feel like we have no protagonist. There's no hero. I'm not rooting for the hitman, and I'm not rooting for our partygoers, because they're all evil or stupid.
I think the movie was supposed to be about Maggie.
And that sucks. Like, a lot. I don't know why they made her so unlikable. Like, everything she does is just completely unlikable. Like, after her giant spiel about how she's wearing her outfit to be a sexy Halloween stereotype, they go to the bar, and these guys are, like, ogling her, and she's, like, all offended. And I'm like, you did this on purpose, though.
Yeah, and then, so you were talking about chalking up the body.
Yes. Which we spend a lot of the movie on that.
They break into a hardware shop.
Yeah.
So breaking and entering now.
Uh-huh.
And then they take the tools to dismantle this body, which all it is just butcher it.
Yeah.
And it's just like, you are now very much part of this crime.
Yeah, they went from not having done anything to deciding to do a lot that is actually very illegal.
Yeah, which is now like, it wouldn't hold up in court.
No.
And then, Maggie then reveals she had a gun the whole fucking time.
Yeah, well, that's your Chekhov's gun. She's got to kill him later with it.
Just, why?
It's when, in that bar scene is probably the worst part of the movie, with him and her in the bar.
It's supposed to be romantic.
It's just, she's like, I'm an engineer, not a hacker, and then she just does every single thing a hacker does.
Yeah. I put it down that that whole scene was a red herring. It's to make them seem like they're closer. So when he decides to make his decision in the cemetery,
Mm-hmm.
right,
Like,
And then the ending
it's like,
itself.
that gotcha.
Oh, it's badly written. Maggie suffers from male writing showing signs of desperation, sexual urges, and lack of confidence.
Damn. Fuck. You're
what I wrote.
right. I just wrote. She at one point in time says, "I don't need you to mansplain me," but then she does the female equivalent to him. So was that female splaining?
Yeah. Yeah. And then she asked him how he got hired. And he's like, the dark web. And it's like, oh my god. Oh, wow, the Silk Road. Haven't heard of that one.
Why is this place haunted? Ancient Indian burial ground. Wow. You threw a dart at the board? That's where it landed?
Yeah.
I have a note. I don't remember when exactly this happened, but like, someone was talking about Maggie. It was the partygoers, and they talked about Maggie, and he said she was dressed up like Elsa from Frozen, and then the other girl in the party was like, "She's Marie Antoinette, you idiot." I'm like, are you assuming every single person with a vagina is just gonna automatically assume it's a Marie Antoinette outfit? How would I know? Like, I was like, princess, generic princess outfit.
It's blue, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, Cinderella.
Like, yeah.
I mean,
And she has blonde hair. She had it up. That could very easily be a cheap Cinderella. I would
anything.
in no way automatically assume Marie Antoinette.
She's fucking Queen Elizabeth, you dipshit.
If you're gonna be Marie Antoinette, she was the one that got beheaded, right? Fucking make a line around your neck of blood to pretend like you got beheaded. If you're gonna do it, Marie Antoinette, do it right. Don't just assume I'm gonna know.
Just walk around with cake.
Yeah. Just write, "I am Marie Antoinette" on your t-shirt.
Yeah. So once they escape the safe room, right, the image of a digital clock appears at the bottom of the left-hand screen.
Yeah, was that the first time we saw that?
Or right-hand screen. Yeah, right when they leave.
That was the
It
first time we
starts
saw that.
ticking down.
Huh.
Because he keeps checking his watch, because we know that his contact told him you have till 2 p.m.
Yeah.
Or 2 a.m.
His
to
time
dispose
limit.
it.
Yeah.
And then it's like, why can't we just like show the time on his watch or show it on the wall and then he looks at the wall?
Yeah.
Or he comes up to somebody and asks them or something stupid.
There's ways of doing it. It was just a very
It was like
lazy.
You wasted the potential to be intelligent about it.
Creative,
yeah, through directing and cinematography, and instead had the editor throw up this shitty digital one.
Yeah, it was just
and then when
lazy.
they leave the bar, right, it resets because there's now a new contract. When he's on the phone.
And I'm like,
here's again.
What was the point of the first time?
But yeah, there's different moments where it's not there, and then it looks like they went back in the editing process, and they're like, "Oh shit, we forgot."
Gotta bring up. That's what'll make people's heart pounding.
Yeah,
it's so tense, isn't it? Then they go to. They decide to go to the funeral home, right?
Hold on, while they're still in the the hardware store.
Oh yeah.
Right. Dot, the girl. Says something about Dunder Mifflin.
Yeah.
Making an office reference.
Yeah.
Right? And then the guy, the stupid one, is reading a Wikipedia article. Because he watched Breaking Bad.
Yeah.
And I don't know if this was supposed to be a joke, but Michael Scott likes using Wikipedia. It's like a cold cut with him. And, I was just like, why would you make that reference?
Yeah.
You wasted it.
You couldn't understand.
Don't reference the best American sitcom.
Yeah.
And then fucking botch it.
And then just make me wish I was watching that instead. There's some great Halloween episodes. Could have done that instead.
And then, in the cemetery, Wilkes leads Maggie into a false moment just before stabbing her and leaving her to her fate.
In my notes, I wrote a giant yes. Because right before that, I just wrote, why romance? I was just furious about this character. She's just so stupid and annoying, and I don't like anything about her. She's just stealing screen time away from the character I actually care about, our hitman, and I hate her, and then she was stabbed, and I was like, it was all worth it. She's stabbed. She's dead now. It's the best. The movie could have ended there. I never find out what happens to the body. She just dies and fade to credits. She was the least likable person in that movie.
Did he stab her because he was tired of her bullshit? Or did he stab her because she was no longer necessary because he knew where the body was?
I think
And he had trapped them there.
I think a little bit of both. Because I think he never really, like I think you're saying, it was a red herring. He never really started to grow attached to her. He was just manipulating her to get her to do what he wants. Because she was being very obvious about it. Like, okay, if I play into this facade, she's gonna lead me right to them.
Yeah, and then, so they're at the funeral home.
Yes.
And the security guard comes out. And he recognizes the body. Everybody recognizes the body.
Yeah.
We never see it. We don't know who it is. They make celebrity references, but
Yeah.
it's never mentioned.
I think it's for the best we never saw who it was. Just in case, like, you go, like, oh, it's, I don't know. Like, so Bruce Campbell, because we talked about him earlier. Oh, Bruce Campbell died, blah. But then, like, as soon as something actually happens with Bruce Campbell in the real world, it's gonna be, like, all weird watching that movie again. So I think keeping it just vague was for the best.
Okay. I don't know. I would like some closure on that one.
It did feel like they were trying to build up to, like, a reveal or something.
Yeah. And then the funeral home has just the worst lighting.
It does. It's very cliche horror lighting.
No, not all of it.
Like, yellow, dim.
So, like, the lobby looked like, I wrote it down, looked like an elementary demonic sacrifice.
That's a good way of putting it. It didn't look like a funeral home.
No.
I don't know what funeral home is that gigantic and
leaves
has the
candles on it.
and
shit.
has the church inside of it. Like, usually those are two separate buildings.
Yeah, and then they're running through the hallway, and you can see it's backlit by daylight.
Yeah, like
It's supposed to be like almost 2
and
a.m.
they tried like editing it so it was like bluer, and I'm like, that doesn't.
Nah, it was daylight, guys. And then down in the incinerator room, right?
Uh-huh.
They tried to make it look like it's a medical area, but it just comes off looking like a TV show Grey's Anatomy look.
Yeah, but like cheaper, like
and it's-
scrubs,
Yeah.
but
Slightly dimmed
like
it.
pretending to be horror.
And it's like,
And
why?
again, that blue.
Why? I think of Saw, right? Saw 3.
Mm-hmm.
There's all that medical equipment, right? And
Yeah.
their lighting is so dark and grim. You know, there's no beats in it.
I think with horror, it's scarier if I can see what's happening. And having it being all dark and moody, and there would be no reason for the incinerating room to be that dark anyway. And also, it's, like, apparently attached to the, like, embalming room?
Yeah, it's the
Which
same.
I don't... Is that, like, a thing in real life?
I don't know. I think the incinerator would be on its own.
Yeah, because I think it would... Like, if you're trying to incinerate a body, and you're standing there, like, you know, pulling the organs out of another body, I feel like it would be really uncomfortably hot in there. But who knows?
Plus, if somebody wanted to see a loved one in a casket, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then they're like, then cremate them, like have an open funeral,
Yeah.
and then cremate them. That means you have to drag it all the way back down there.
Yeah.
Just a terrible setup.
It's just... and another thing, she, like, goes and, like, grabs, like, a scalpel to fight him with. What doctor is leaving their medical equipment sitting unsanitized in the middle of the fucking incinerator room?
Don't they usually take those with them because that's theirs? Like, I know certain surgeons will create
Yeah.
obsidian knives.
Because, like, you need to...
You're not gonna leave that in your locker.
And you're not going to just leave it sitting out, definitely.
No.
I had a note. It was when they first got to the funeral home. They're like, all right, we're dead set for burning the body. And then, like, you know, they're running away, and she starts dragging the body with her. I think it's her. Her or him. They start dragging the body, and there's just this gigantic, like, stripe of blood, like obviously being dragged behind them. I'm like, so burning the body is completely useless at this point. Because this dude's DNA is now everywhere, and your DNA is in there too. No matter what you do, some hair follicle, some spit, Nothing you do matters because your DNA is all over this. So even if you successfully burnt the body and evaded the hitman, you'd still be fucking arrested.
They sucked so much they left a breadcrumb trail.
Yeah. He didn't even need the hacker bitch anymore. He just followed the gigantic trail of blood.
Just keep going. You'll find them. And then I did actually like him terrorizing them in the funeral home, killing them.
Yeah.
It was fun.
That was the best part.
When he kills Alan?
Alan? Alex. I don't remember. I remember Dot and Wilkes and Maggie. I don't remember the other two's names.
Yeah. Anyways, when he kills him, it's kind of fun because he puts the embalming thing into him.
It was pretty violent.
And then, like, pumps him up.
I did have the note of, I mean...
And then stabs him in the head.
You had plenty of time to pull the nozzle out before he turned it on to start embalming him. You could have definitely pulled it back out. You had time. But I'm willing to forgive it for horror's sake.
And then picks up the tray, the medical tray, holds it up to his face, and he goes, "This is what death looks like."
Yeah.
Which is kind of brutal.
Yeah, I got it. You know.
And then he turns around. Dot has a gun.
Yeah. Yep.
Which they got from the security guard. And she fires it. Wilkes ducks with the tray out in front.
Uh-huh.
And then when he gets back up, you see the bullet had indented it.
And then ricocheted.
And then it somehow ricocheted and
directly back
into her forehead. I'm just wondering, what kind of fucking funeral home is this that has bulletproof medical trays? What is happening down here?
With that death, I'm like, it's dumb, but it was funny.
It was fun.
It was fun. I have this note. It's the wasted romance subplot was just a bad distraction from the story and characters. And the chase in the funeral home and the shenanigans with the body in the beginning, that was the part of the movie that was fun. That was the part I wanted to see. And everything, the entire middle of this movie was just a pain. It was just annoying. If I was to rewatch again, I would fast forward through it. As soon as Maggie entered the scene, I would fast forward to the funeral scene. And I would only watch that.
Right, and then we get the surprise. He gets the body back. He goes into a construction site.
Yeah, he makes it in time, just in the nick of time.
Takes the picture and sends it to his contract. He gets a call. The guy's like, no leaked ends. And he goes, no, none. And then gets shot in the back. And it's Maggie. She lived.
Surprise. So I told you I had a really big yes written in my notes. When she came back, I have a more aggressive and angry and bigger and darker no written in my notes.
So Maggie's the hero of the story.
It was the worst way you could have ended a movie.
It was pretty bad.
It was just... Ugh. Do you think there will be a body 2?
No.
Do you? Because
I know it leaves off with...
His feet was twitching at the end there.
Yeah, she drops him off at a dumpster after wrapping him in plastic.
Mm-hmm.
And... I know they wanted to make his sequel. It looks very much like it, but...
How well was this movie received when it came out?
It was actually generally favorable.
Really?
Yeah.
Mm.
So, I wrote a review, and my overview of it, what I wrote was, now being negative about everything we've said, right, I can wholeheartedly say it's actually a fun, simple horror movie. That's a great way to waste time or to get it into a spooky murder mode.
Mm.
Right? It adds nothing new to the world of cinema.
No.
But it does entertain. It's honestly my third time viewing it. Yes, I've seen this multiple times.
Yeah.
I do like the twist, even though I don't like the characters. It's like, oh, that was fun. I feel like I've seen it before, though.
Maybe.
But the reason why I watched it so many times is it's just enjoyable. I can turn off my brain and have fun with it.
Mm-hmm.
Or you could just waste time, you know?
Yeah.
Trying to be somewhat productive. The twists are enjoyable. The plot is just wacky enough that it could, maybe, might, but never happen in reality. If you're looking for a deep, meaningful cinema, don't bother with this one. if you're a fan of horror like me, or just need to waste time, check out The Body.
I gave it a score of a 7 out of 10.
I gave it an 8 out of 10.
So, yeah, we're pretty, despite this entire podcast being mostly complaints, pretty high scores.
Yeah.
The parts that were fun.
Yeah.
And even though, like, even the partygoers, despite the fact that I found them annoying in their stupidity of the plot, the characters themselves were fun bouncing off of each other. To a degree. Sometimes they got annoying, sometimes they were fun. I enjoyed going back to them versus going back to our hitman, but that might just have been because our hitman was stuck with Maggie.
Yeah.
Maggie really was the worst part of the movie.
Yeah. And then, so yeah, that's The Body.
Yeah.
Check it out if you want to, if you have time.
It is a fun little romp.
Yeah. It's the first of 12.
Yes.
Or 24, I guess.
First of many.
Yeah. We've seen a majority of the others.
Yeah. I think we're 2 behind with the...
2. There's some that you haven't seen yet.
Oh, yeah, I did miss a couple. This next one I haven't actually watched yet either.
Flesh and Blood.
Yeah.
Episode 2.
Thanksgiving.
Yep. I know that there's other ones later on in this season that are just way better.
Yes. Oh my god. There's some great ones.
And we'll get to those, but there's also some really worse ones.
Hell yeah. There's some terrible ones.
New Year, New You.
Oof. What was it? Like the 4th of July one?
Oh,
Culture Shock? Yep.
And then the last one, Pure.
Oof. I didn't like the Treehouse either.
I kind of like the Treehouse.
We'll get to all of these, don't you worry.
Yeah, they're all different directors, all different actors.
It's gonna be fun. We're gonna go.
Actually, one has the same director. 2 of them have the same director.
Yeah.
I'm just fucking with you. And the best one, which we won't tell you.
We won't. It's gonna be a surprise.
Yeah.
But
unless you want to look ahead.
It's gonna be. I'm excited. This is gonna be a fun little nasty garbage eggs podcast. Part 2 of this podcast.
Nasty, gross eggs.
Is it nasty gross eggs or gross nasty eggs?
I did this in the last one, and look, when this thing is up, you'll know what it's called.
Look at it right there on the screen.
Yeah. Whew.
This time we're on Flesh and Blood.
Yes, I feel weird right now.
You do?
Yeah.
Is it the sandwich?
Yeah.
Was it the hot peppers on your sandwich?
I don't know, but it's not happy in my tummy.
Flesh and Blood. That's the Thanksgiving one.
Yes, so this is the second episode of the first season, Flesh and Blood. It is Thanksgiving. It really has nothing to do with Thanksgiving.
Oh, well, kinda.
Everything that happens...
Like, when you told me that they were doing a horror movie every month for a holiday, and this one was Thanksgiving, my initial thought was, how do you make Thanksgiving horror? And I think they went about it in a smarter way by only barely having it be about Thanksgiving.
Most of it takes place on that special Friday after.
Yeah.
It's just Friday.
That thing that's worse than Cyber Monday. So...
That horribly long 4-day weekend.
For all you people in retail, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
We've all been there.
Oh, man. Black Fridays. Terrible.
And then they always make you work those, like, Thanksgiving and then the days after.
Oh, man. Yeah, if you guys haven't joined the workforce, when you do it, you're gonna be stuck in it.
It's gonna be shit.
Yeah, what? I did the grocery for Thanksgiving and Christmas.
Mm-hmm. No good.
I remember when I worked at Target for Black Friday night, they brought me in, even though I was a stalker.
Yeah.
So I was early morning stalking. We get there at 3, right? But we had to show up at like 11. And we were already there on Thanksgiving morning.
Ugh.
Yeah, because we came in at like 10. They shut down early. And then we had to like set up all the Black Friday bins and do like a little small load.
And the stores will always, like, especially retail, they won't prioritize your family.
No.
Or this holiday about your family. They only want you to be there so they can make money.
And honestly, like, even the managers that I haven't even seen yet, were there helping us build this thing. And then Thursday night, I have to come back.
Yeah.
After eating my meal to They put me on the cash register. They don't tell you how to do it. They're just like, this is it.
Figure it out.
You're not selling alcohol. If there's any alcohol, take it away from them.
It's also like that is
And you have to ID everyone who buys a rated M game.
Yeah.
That was...
Even if they're like obviously 60.
Oh, that was great. This one woman was buying Assassin's Creed 3. That puts the year right there. You know exactly what year it was. It was a good game. But I was like, I need your ID. And she's like, really? Don't I look old enough? And I'm like, yeah. The computer will not let me go until I scan your ID.
It's so stupid. And that's also when customers are probably at their most obnoxious and rude.
Yeah.
Because they're worried about their sales and everything.
People buying random shit, and you're just like, why are you here?
On topic a bit, I think it would be easier to do a horror movie about Black Friday than it would be Thanksgiving. Because like almost zombie-esque mob mentality and the horrible conditions you have to deal with.
Yeah, I was thinking about that too, and I was like, that would be really fun. Have an action comedy horror movie about how, like, Black Friday going wrong. Because the beginning of another movie, Krampus? It starts with Black Friday, and you just see everybody just going crazy and beating up each other. But yeah, this one really doesn't have to do with Thanksgiving. It just happens during the time.
My first note is, how many people actually have Thanksgiving with just their immediate family?
Yeah, it's only the daughter, the mother, and the father.
Yeah, because I'm always, so it's like the cousins, the aunts, grandma, grandpa, every single person.
I just fucking hate Thanksgiving.
It's one of my least favorite holidays.
You know exactly what you're eating on that day.
And it's not even ever cooked well. Like, it's fine, but not, like, amazing. Because everyone's so busy trying to make everything happen that they're never, like, it's gonna be a dry-ass turkey, I'm sorry.
And then that Velveeta cheese green beans. Oh, yeah. I hope I didn't hurt your mom's feelings, but also don't do that again.
She changed her recipe, I feel like. Like, I feel like it used to be way better.
Just give me green beans.
Just the green beans.
Yeah, honestly, just give me the can of them. I'll be fine.
I'll eat them cold.
Yeah. Velveeta's just gross. Don't do that. Just don't. So we see that they're happy at Thanksgiving. You know what? It doesn't even start like that. It starts with her drawing on her fucking window.
Yeah, which was a weird...
With a permanent marker!
and like, that drawing thing didn't really ever come back, did it?
No, she's just drawing a house. It's not even her house.
I expected it to be much, like her art detail to be a more important element of her character. But no, she didn't really have any elements to her character. She was listening to music, and her music choices were like, I guess it's realistic, because it's kind of all over the place, but I'm like, I'm getting like whiplash from your really off-the-wall music choices.
Yeah.
But that ended kind of early on.
Oh yeah, it's raining, so you know that she's moody. And that was great.
That's probably the most tired trope there is. It can only be raining if something is sad. Something can only be sad if it's raining.
Yeah, and then her dad comes in and dopes her up. The main character, Kimberly, is suffering from agoraphobia. Mm-hmm. And so they keep injecting this serum into her to keep her calm.
And it is like a real...
It is a real thing, yeah.
Propofol.
Later on, the doctor prescribes that one.
Yeah.
But the first one she takes, we don't know what it was.
I don't even remember.
And then, yeah. Dad leaves. He's always leaving.
Always leaving. And we never got an explanation as to where... I mean, I guess he could have just had a job, and they didn't feel the need to explain...
Well, I can tell you right now, he's not a construction worker. My God, this house is, like, in shambles. And he's like, yeah, I'm just working on the house. But he never works on the house.
He also, like, keeps being like, alright, time to work on this, like, banister. And then he rips it off the wall, and then he walks away. And then the next day he comes back, and he's like, fuck that project. Let's punch a hole in this wall.
Yeah. At one point, he just takes a sledgehammer to his stairs.
Just pick one and finish it.
Cut up his floor. Yeah, it was great.
I thought it was really good setup with her being too freaked out to go outside. Because Blumhouse is very notorious, especially these Into the Dark movies, for having slow beginnings. And so I'm sitting there waiting, I'm like, what's the deal? And her freaking out trying to just right on the front porch, just like a foot maybe away from her front door, and that's still too much for her to handle.
Yeah, what happens? So it's raining, and the postman just leaves the package in the rain.
Like an asshat.
And I even wrote, "Mailman leaves package in rain. USPS, am I right?" They would totally do that shit.
They really would. Can't even get the right mail.
No. Still having that issue. I've lived here for a year. Yes, she struggles to even get that, but the doctor shows up.
Yeah. Which I felt like was also a good way to introduce her doctor to the script.
Yeah.
There's
5 characters in this. Maybe the mom.
Okay, like 5-ish.
You see her like one time.
Like in a scene, and I don't think she even talks that much.
There's Kim, her dad Henry, Dr. Saunders, and then 2 police officer women.
Yes. The dad is the only male character in this entire movie.
Yeah, it's kind of weird.
It was it was an interesting choice. We'll wait till later to like come back to that topic. Early on, with its really slow beginning, I wrote this down because if this feels like it could have been a real dramatic look at an adolescent honestly dealing with loss and trauma despite having friends, a loving father, a therapist, and medication. It can still be hard for someone to try to be happy or get back to what they think is normal after experiencing trauma, even with all those things. So if they didn't want to do horror, they could have.
The trauma is... It's been almost a year since last Thanksgiving, where her mom had to leave for work and was murdered. Yeah. And no one ever was caught. Mm-hmm. So she's still scared that there's a killer out there.
I appreciate just that audio spike.
It's a soda.
Full of special juice.
Yeah.
What was I saying? No, like I like it is a realistic look. Like people can still be depressed and have problems even with all the support and like medical attention and everything. So I thought that was a really neat direction to go, because usually it's she's really sad because of her trauma, but also her dad is an asshole and all her friends abandoned her. So I'm like, she doesn't need to have extra trauma on top of it for it to be realistic.
Yeah, and then it's her birthday. And Dad gives her this cake, and he shittily puts the candles on it.
At least he tried.
It's not even a circle. He just kind of like threw them onto it.
Yeah, they don't make a shape or anything.
No, it's just,
There's not even like 16, which I think was how old she was turning.
Yeah.
There's like 8.
So yeah, it's her birthday, and her dad gives her one gift.
Yes.
One.
Just one. Maybe she didn't ask for much.
Again, what is his job? And it's this like little necklace pendant.
Yeah, it's cute. Very cute.
Okay.
Normal. I wouldn't. For a 16-year-old, it's very fine.
Yeah. And then like
shortly after, she's watching the news, as all teenagers do when they have nothing to do at home. And they bring up that this girl is gone missing, and I didn't even notice, but the girl's wearing the same necklace as our main character, and I felt that was a little contrived.
Yeah, I had something about that. I guess that's in my review.
I do remember you saying something about that.
Yeah, because 16-year-old girls, what happens is her dad gives her the necklace, and then he's like, oh, I gotta bounce.
Yeah.
And he disappears into the night. And then he just disappears on her, and then she just starts watching the news. And she sees that there's a missing girl in her location, Echo Park, and she has the same pendant.
I thought that was stupid, because, like, think of it, like, rationally. Like, lots of necklaces get manufactured all at a time, especially if this girl just went missing, and this necklace probably came out around the same time as her birthday, which was around this time. Like, stores are going to be trying to push this because it's a new hot product for everyone. And, like, there's probably millions of necklaces out there that look exactly like this. Like, if I was sitting there watching TV and someone had gone missing, and I'm like, oh my god, they have the same Pokemon shirt I have, I'm not gonna. It's good.
Well,
'cause-
obviously, your next logical step, and hers,
Yeah.
is that your dad killed her and took that necklace.
Yes. Which is the beginning of all of her suspicions.
It's just that necklace. And then all of a sudden, she just gets on from this crazy idea that her dad is a mass murderer.
Yeah, but to be fair, Doc mentions that the medicine she's on could lead to
Paranoia.
paranoia. So I'm like, it could be that, honestly.
Yeah, and then she goes into his room. She finds a photo album where he's like ripped out all the photos and started drawing. Like,
That part was weird because
it never comes up. She never asks him about it.
well, I also because no, she doesn't.
And he, like, one of the images I remember is these hands that are tied up by a rope. And he drew that.
The one I remember, it's like a skull, and stuff. This movie did do a really good job making me not sure who the bad guy actually was.
Yeah.
Like, one of my notes is, I'm on Dad's side. And then I came back, maybe not. Maybe yes. And then I continued later, maybe not.
She then goes into the attic, because every night when he is home, he goes into the attic. And he just stays in there.
I know.
And when she gets up into the attic,
It's not like his
she
garage.
finds all the Halloween and Christmas lights are on. They stay on the entire movie.
All the time. That electricity bill.
Yeah. Again, what is his job? And then
Maybe he's an electrician.
then she finds like a jewelry box with all her mom's stuff. And then she starts questioning him when he finally comes home about it.
Yeah.
And he's like, that's your mom's stuff. Like get out of my stuff.
I've looked at my mother's jewelry, and not all of it is like classy professional jewelry. 90% of it she didn't wear because it's just old things that she was nostalgic for. So I found, what's her name? Katie?
Kimberly?
Kimmy? I found her reasoning behind the jewelry thing to be like quite the stretch. That's when I was the most on Dad's side. I'm like, you're being unreasonable, young lady.
Yeah, and then she freaks out on him. Now it's Thanksgiving. She freaks out on him about this thing. And he's like trying to calm her down as she like locks herself in her room. And then she calls the cops. And now he's pissed that the cops are coming. So, the two cops show up. They're both females. The odds of having two female cops coming to your house, it's so astronomical.
I wonder if it was an intentional thing to have him be the only male character.
Because the problem with the dad is he's overprotective and overbearing on her. And it's because the mom's not there. So he kind of takes the role of both of them.
Yeah, but it's not like anything gender specific gets addressed throughout the movie.
No, so we don't really understand
Yeah.
too much. There's not much to actually say any past that. Because let's be honest, spoiler alert, Daddy is the killer. And he's been killing everybody.
Which I wonder if that was the reason he was the only male character, because to further make him an outsider, in at least from Kim's perspective of everything.
Yeah, that she's stuck and the only person she can trust is him.
Yeah.
Yeah, he kills the doctor right in front of her. That was pretty cool.
Leading up to that, another part of Kim's paranoia thing, she was like, all these girls are going missing, and don't they all kind of look like Mom? And I'm like, your mom is white with dark hair and dark eyes. That is the average. That's going to be 90% of the population.
Yeah.
But it was fun because I really couldn't tell which one was going to be the murder. Like, they could have gone either way. Like, it felt like it could have, like a choose-your-own-adventure story, where if you went down a certain path, one of the endings you got was Dad was the killer, but if you went down another path, one of the endings you got was she was the killer. I felt like it worked regardless.
Yeah, you thought that they were drugging her so that she wouldn't remember what she did.
Yeah, like she was actually like super violent.
And we see that what happened after that Thanksgiving dinner, the mom has to leave to go to work, and the dad is furious with her about that because she's leaving always to go to work.
She was like a doctor or something like that?
No, she was a stewardess. an air stewardess.
Oh, right.
And then like you see another scene where Kimberly's talking to her about an affair, and that's never brought up again.
Yeah, and in that scene, Kimberly especially seems like the most, like, overly aggressive and irrational.
Yeah.
So I'm like, she killed mom.
Yeah.
She freaked out, killed mom, and now they're putting, because the drug they gave her, propofol. I'm saying it wrong.
Propofol.
Propofol. It's an anesthetic usually used before surgery. So it just really, like, numbs you and makes you, like... So I'm like, that would make sense if someone is that extremely violent. But also, like, too afraid of leaving the house, like, in order to go to, like, proper health, like, or a care center or something. That would be a way of doing it. But, no, it was dead. And I thought that was a good twist, because they had me fooled the entire time. I thought the red herring was a red herring, but there was another red herring.
Yeah, that doesn't make sense. Why would you drug someone like that?
Because it's a fantasy.
If she's gonna stay in the house, you don't need to dose her up.
Unless, like, they were afraid she was... Because she already killed... In this what-if scenario, she would have already killed mom. What if she kills dad, too? Like, what if she was getting just as aggressive around him? But he's still her caretaker.
Yeah, he's the guardian. And she kills him.
She does.
She burns him alive.
I'm gonna say, I think a house, like the renovations of the house is a little...
I think the reason why it's like that is it's showing you the state in which they are both at. Mm-hmm. That this is a house, but it's also kind of shambles. Mm-hmm. So it's about their psyche. Mm-hmm. And how it's broken.
It's more put together than they're not homeless or anything. But on the inside, it's definitely not like a warm, welcoming house you would picture.
Yeah.
So once again, if they didn't go with the horror route, it could have been just as good a story. I feel like. It's also made for a fun environment for like horror chase scenes, like Dad's running around with like a fucking sledgehammer and she's crawling through like holes in the wall and things.
Yep.
It was a lot of fun, that final chase scene. They cut a big old hole in the ground and then he covered it up and I expected someone to fall into the hole at some point in time.
He threw the doctor down there. After he killed her, yeah.
Oh. I expected it to happen during the chase.
Yeah, because then he goes down there and he's like looking at her.
Yeah.
Fuck that.
It was for
She really cornered herself on that one.
I also like that it took place during the day. Not enough horror movies have adequate lighting.
Yeah.
When everything's dark all the time, I can't see and I'm not scared.
What I said about this one in my review...
Here, before you say your conclusion,
go ahead.
I'll say mine. This is a great subtle use of your holiday of choice. Important for the setting of the story, but not overly relying on it. Especially with the underlying themes of family. So, because, like, family is the important part of Thanksgiving, so having that be the centerpiece of the conflict with the movie, I felt like was a good way of using the holiday, but not getting, like, campy about it.
I thought the point of Thanksgiving was to be grateful.
Thanksgiving has a lot of different points. Some people interpret it as family being together. Others interpret it as grateful. Others just interpret it as an excuse for eating.
Yeah. What I said about this. Through all the sass and somewhat boring appeal to some of the creative expressions, Flesh and Blood is still fun and deserves at least a sit down. If you don't really like horror films, this one might be the one for you. There are no real monsters, just ourselves at the end of the day.
It's a good way of putting it. It's a really good way of putting it.
Because the person that was closest to her was the monster.
Yeah.
It's a good one. I liked it. It's not really horror.
It's more suspense.
Suspense thriller.
Yeah.
There is blood in it, but...
Blumhouse loves their blood. That one big over-the-top blood splatter.
Yeah, you only see one person get killed.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, two, if you really want to count him. He kind of did that to himself.
A little bit.
Yeah, when you start pouring gasoline on yourself...
Things got intense.
Yeah.
I gave this a 10 out of 10.
I gave it an 8 out of 10.
Really.
Yeah.
I honestly enjoyed it a lot. Like, a lot. Like, yeah, there's things I can gripe about here and there. And, like, I didn't even mention the fact that we're introduced to, like, Facebook friends of hers, and then they never get brought back up again throughout the entire story.
Nope. And they all have agoraphobia also.
Which I thought was pretty specific. Specific Facebook group of yours.
Yeah.
But, no, I found it... I was on the edge of my seat the entire time, trying to figure out what the real mystery was.
Okay. Yeah, no, I like this one. I'm just thinking of... In season 2, you get back to Thanksgiving,
Ugh.
and it's called Pilgrim. We will eventually review it,
I
but...
would really... that's one of the ones I'm the most having to go back and watch. Because I couldn't even
finish it, yeah.
Yeah.
And... Which sucks, because I like that director, but... Oh well. This movie is way better. The girl who plays Kimberly... Diana Silvers.
Yeah.
This is her first role.
And you might, if she looks familiar to you, she's in Space Force.
On Netflix.
Alongside Steve Carell. She's Steve Carell's...
daughter.
Yeah.
And then the dad, Dermot Mulroney. Dermot Mulroney. Oh, that's hard to say.
That's a southern name if there ever was one.
He is Dirty Steve in Young Guns.
Yeah.
Just one of my favorite films.
And he does a great job. Both of them do a good job, but I feel like really...
It's his low voice.
He like sells that like, I don't know if you're just a loving, caring dad or secretly a serial killer.
Yeah. A little bit of both.
And you can tell like he was having fun.
Yeah.
During the movie.
Yeah. And then I looked up the other actors, but there's nothing really to say about them.
Mm-hmm.
It's a well-contained little story. Very few characters to have to remember.
Really smart, but I don't know how much fun it would be on a second viewing. Like once you know all the things, all the secrets and
It
stuff.
was still okay. That was my second time watching it.
Okay. So yeah, this was our double feature of The Body and Flesh and Blood.
Yep.
So next up is Christmas and New Year's.
Yay! So the next one is Puka.
Yeah!
Puka.
That one's gonna be exciting. That was the first one I watched of the series.
Yeah, we watched Puka first.
They advertised it a lot.
Yeah.
Because I feel like I didn't hear anything about The Body and Flesh and Blood beforehand.
Yep. It is also the only one so far to have a sequel.
Yes.
Puka Lives.
Which is, we'll get to that
A
one too.
very different movie from the original.
And not Christmas, like how Puka is.
Yeah, it's like Easter or something.
And then we'll get to New Year, New You.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh man, it's the rarities. Don't you love them?
We'll get there. That one's gonna be, I feel like we're gonna have like about 2 minutes worth of talking about Puka, and then like an hour and a half talking about New Year, New You.
Do you remember how Puka ends?
I do.
Yeah, we're gonna definitely get to that.
There's gonna be a lot. So yeah, stick around everyone. We're going through all of Into the Dark, and I'm excited for it.
Yeah, and we're gonna try and make sure we record these after we watch them.
Yeah.
And not wait a week.
Well, we both had excuses.
So, yeah. Okay, thank you for listening. I'll see you guys next week.
Yeah. Like, comment, and subscribe.
Yeah.
Bye-bye.